Hi, Hayley Quinn here. Let me run a quick scenario by you. You may know that investment is important when it comes to stocks and shares, but it's also key to understanding most relationships, why some women are really into you and why some women suddenly go off the radar and seem like they dislike you. Investment in this context means how much you care about the outcome of something, how much you put into a relationship, whether it's the time you spend with a person or the emotions you invest. In relationships, the ideal scenario would be a 50-50 tussle for investment, a perfect match in terms of how much time you want to spend together, where you see the relationship going, and how much you want things to work out. On a micro scale, you can see this playing out in the text messages you exchange with a girl, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. Just like in other areas of your dating life, the key is usually to understand how invested another person is in you and how to mirror that investment. Let me give you some examples as to why this is so important. Say you meet a lovely girl on your commute and get her number. You drop her a cool and witty text, yet she doesn't reply. It's not that she didn't like you, but she had a busy evening and you sent the text message really late. You text her again, this time in the morning. This time you sound a little bit more agitated at her lack of response. She recognises your annoyance and is put off from contacting you again. She decides you may not be the right guy for her, so she decides to leave it. By this stage, you feel really disappointed and frustrated. You thought you got on so well. You send another message, a mean and blunt one. She feels freaked out by your intensity and decides to delete your number. She probably also jokes with her friends about a crazy guy that she met. What's weird is, it wasn't that you were incompatible or that she didn't like you, but your intensity scared her off. Your different levels of investment freaked her out. How about another example? Say you've been texting a girl for a few days and it seems to be going well. She's responding to all of your messages and you feel excited about your date this Friday. But when Friday night comes around, she cancels last minute. Really annoying. You text her the next week and she replies again. But when you go for the date, no response. You skim back through the messages and realise that whilst you're doing everything to keep the conversation going, replies from her, well, they weren't great. Lots of lols, ha-has and smiley faces. Apparently these aren't the good signs you thought they were. And you slowly realise that whilst you're busy entertaining her, she is probably just replying for the sake of replying. Both of these problems are to do with investment. She has not invested as much as you have. You are coming across like you care a lot more about the outcome. There are several factors, of course, that influence investment. How long you were speaking to her for when you first got the number. How long you've been in contact in proportion to how much physical time you've spent together. FaceTime, by the way, is always preferable to text time, so try to get her to commit to a date quickly. How willing was she to give you her number? What other guys has she in her life right now? And there are several warning signs of low investment that I'd also really like you to be aware of. She takes ages to respond. Her texts are brief and consists more of emoticons than real content and emotion. She doesn't make an effort to keep the conversation going. She seems to cool off or doesn't respond whenever you suggest meeting in person. In fact, you know she's behaving in a low investment way. It's not the end of the world, but it does mean you need to play the game a little bit differently to how you have been. Maybe your date suggestion is going to be a low-key, easy to commit to coffee rather than a whole day trip out. You also may want to create more conversational paths. This is something I can help you with. And if that fails, try teasing her to prompt more of a reaction. Sometimes higher risk messages are the right move, and you can break her low investment cycle by being much more direct. So if you've been texting for ages and yet haven't quite managed to ask her out, then pick up the phone or send a message to get a better response, maybe one that goes a bit like this. Am I the only one who's bored of texting? Conversations are always better in real life. Let's try to link up for a coffee this week. By now, I hope you can understand a little bit of how investment can influence the outcome of dating. If you have a scenario in your life that sounds like the ones I've mentioned today, or you just want to get clued up so that you always get the best outcome possible, then check out my Talk to Hayley page on this site. Take a look at it, get in touch, and we can make that happen.